Regional Translation Operations Manager at the headquarters office of the church in Salt Lake City. Today, I'd like to provide you with a very concise training on how to use our vendor evaluation form for the large-scale agency test that we've been performing. Many of you are aware of this test, hopefully all of you, and just a quick few details for you to keep in mind. We're testing 2 agencies, and we're also testing contractors for each language. So with this test, you'll receive 3 sets of files, and you'll need to complete the process I'm about to show you for all 3 sets of files. Our deliverable is going to be the vendor evaluation form for each provider, and even though you'll be able to see the files in Trados and make corrections there as needed, we really are most concerned with getting a completed vendor evaluation form. Okay, so how do you use the vendor evaluation form? This is the basic layout. You've got an English source column, a target translation column, an error type column with drop downs, and then a suggested translation column, an optional evaluator comments column, and then the file name column. For the sake of this demonstration being straightforward and simple, I'm going to fill in this information with imaginary content. But when you do the evaluation, you'll need to fill in the file name here with the name of the actual file you're reviewing, and you can just copy and paste that all the way down until you get to the next file. But we want all 3 files for each provider in the same translation evaluation form. So you don't need to create a new form for each file. That would be a lot of these forms to manage. So in the end, you should just have 3 of these. Now let's just say, again, for the sake of an example, that we're talking about a fishing guide. So the file name is fishing guide. All right. So, and in the translation that we're looking at, we have an English source that says, "The fish swims." And then let's imagine for a moment that our target translation provided by the translator says, "L'oiseau nage." I'm using French because that's the only other language I know, but of course you'll have to bear with me. All right, so in this very simple translation, oiseau means bird, and bird obviously doesn't mean fish, so that's a serious mistranslation, and we'll categorize that in just a moment. I would suggest the translation, "Le poisson nage," because poisson means fish. Okay, now just to quickly explain the categories we have here, we're going to be working with 4 main categories, and then a 5th that just means anything else. Okay, so for accuracy errors, those are errors in which the target text does not accurately reflect the source text. So the meaning of the translation is not the same meaning as the source. For fluency errors, those are errors in which the translated text does not follow target language rules and conventions, including grammar and punctuation, etc. So let's say a verb is misconjugated or something is misspelled. That would be a fluency error. A terminology error is an error in which the translated term isn't what is expected for church vocabulary, or there are different terms used to translate the same term in the source text. And then style is anything to do with stylistic concerns, including the voice, register, or format of the translation. So if if the translation doesn't follow the expected style, for instance, let's say we're translating a manual and the translation looks like a social media post, then of course the style is off. Now, with those in mind, the only other category we have is kind of like a non-category, but it's anything else, anything that doesn't fit within the 4 main categories. Now, most of the errors you find should fit within these 4 main categories. Okay, going back to those definitions, which by the way I'll provide with the additional instructions about this project that you'll be receiving in Plunet and in email. Since I said that this is a mistranslation, meaning that oiseau does not mean fish, and I've had to change that word to poisson, this would be an accuracy error. It wasn't accurately translated. The translation doesn't mean the same thing as the source. So I'll choose accuracy there. Now let's say that further on in the document, I have an English source text that says, the trout swims. And this time it's translated by le poisson nage. Okay, now we said that poisson means fish, right? But trout is a certain kind of fish. And poisson, even though it kind of means the same thing as trout, it's not the right kind of fish. And so this one needs to be translated more specifically, and we would translate it as la truite nage. Because the specific translation for trout is truite. And then this would be what we'd consider a terminology error, because the wrong term was used to translate trout. It was translated as a general term, poisson, which means fish, and we needed to change it to trout. Now, this is still in the fishing guide file, so we'll copy and paste that here. This column, Evaluator Comments, is optional. If this is, for instance, a severe translation or mistranslation, you could put in here severe mistranslation, just for future reference. But you don't need to fill in this column. It's just if you have any additional information that you'd like to add. So that's essentially it. Those are the steps to follow to filling out this form. This has been a very informal training, but hopefully it shows you what you need to do. If you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me, and I will be happy to help you through this process. Thank you so much for all of your help. We really appreciate your participation and the data that we'll be gathering through this evaluation. We hope that the outcome will be that you will have a new valued partner for translation outsourcing. And we're going to be happy to help you through that process.